next, find out which teams from around the region prepared the best for their finals and who would be crowned state champion on the mat. Find out on this week's Jam Session with the Baltimore Sun High School Sports Show.
The Baltimore Sun High School Sports Show. He's going down the right sideline. He's on right side.
Today's show is brought to you by the Baltimore area Toyota dealers, Best Buy, Dick's Sporting Goods, Geico, and Papa John's.
Hi, and welcome to the Baltimore Sun High School Sports Show. I'm Jerry Bembry, sports writer with the Sun. That other Final Four, you know the one. Well, that won't get underway for a couple of weeks. But here in Maryland, City's basketball team was playing in its third straight Class 3A Final Four. To reach today's state final, City had to first get past its semifinal game against Gwynn Park. Which team earned a spot in today's title game, which starts in about an hour? Let's take a look.
The number 6 City Knights were making their third straight semifinal appearance, looking to come away with their first win, taking on the Yellow Jackets of Gwynn Park of Prince George's County. Their record 12-13. One might have thought the victory was a lock. The Knights shot out of the gate early. Todd Galloway sinks this 15-footer for 2 of his game-high 22. Next up, Dominic Fulcher follows suit. He makes this nice move through the paint for 2 of his 8. But the Jackets, led by Kellen Pruitt, would put the sting on the Knights with good second attempts. Pruitt finished with a team-high 14. Jermel Akanbi applies the hurt himself with this 3. He was good for 15 points. But Dervin Diggs would keep Gwynn Park right on City's heels. He pulls them to within 1 at the break. Todd Galloway opens up the Knight lead to 7 in the second half. But Gwynn Park storms back with a vengeance. This fast break outlet to Charles Ford ends with a thunder. And as the game teeters back and forth at the end, only one team could fly to the finals. It was Gwynn Park with a prizing upset of City to reach today's final, which begins in about an hour.
Now let's take a look at some other results on the Geico Direct scoreboard.
The Millers from Milford Mills struck up the band in honor of their second straight appearance in the semis. This year's match, a tough Knights team from Wheaton, the Millers without disabled star Shantae Alexander. But Quanti Tony made up for absence with moves like this as she picks off this pass and races to the bucket for 2 of her 19 points on the night. Mandy Clark with a sweet no-look pass also keeps the Millers in high gear. The finish here by Kristen Smith. But the Knights would never lose their armor despite trailing by 12 in the first quarter, thanks to good follow-up work by Kiki Agba, who finished with 26. Team high scorer Clark answers with 3 of her 26. But Wheaton's game high scorer Maya Safel would pull the Knights to within 3 by intermission. She ended with 27. After the break, Clark once again keeps the Millers' drive to the final game going strong as she glides through the lane. But Agba and the feisty Knights would not go down. In fact, they went up. This one by Kiki for 2, and this drive by Maya put Wheaton on top. It wasn't until the end when scoring combinations by both Tony and Clark would put the Millers back on top by 3, only to be challenged at the buzzer by Linnea Holsey, who sinks it a millisecond too late as the Millers hold on for the W to advance to the title game tonight.
The Maryland State Championships took to the mat at Western Maryland College this week, both the 1A, 2A, and 3A, 4A events. Holly's Dennis Scott became Baltimore City's first state champ in the 1A, 2A, while the Eveleth brothers, Matt and Jeff, racked up points for Chesapeake and Arundel in the 3A, 4A. Jeff winning his match in the 112 division. In the team finals, Franklin came on strong thanks to John and Matt Schuster, and a big win by Luke Mays, 8-6 in the 145-pound class. C. Milton Wright senior Matt Pandulo brought home 3A, 4A title honors at 119 by the score of 4-3. And Fran Jackson won his second straight for North Carroll in just his second year. It was Franklin who would tally up points to win first 1A, 2A title with 106.5 points. And over on the 3A, 4A side, it was Damascus who would be crowned champion with 112 points, capitalizing on 3 second-place finishes and 2/3.
When we come back, third-ranked Meade and Prince George's County power Oxon Hill meet for the right to play in tonight's Class 4A title game. That's Dick's Sporting Goods' big game of the week. And it's next on the Baltimore Sun High School Sports Show. Welcome back. In what was expected to be a rebuilding year, Meade's basketball team reached the Class 4A state semifinals. To reach the final, Meade had to get past Ogden Hill team, was ranked first in the state of 4A schools. Meade, Ogden Hill is Dick Sporting Goods' big game of the week. Before we join Dave Goldman at the game, let's meet this week's class stars. First, from Meade, we salute Charles, a senior forward who sports a 3.6 grade point average. In Ogden Hill, we honor Omar Muhammad, a senior forward who carries a 3.5 EA. Now let's go side for the action.
A trip to the 4A state finals was on the line at Turfland as the 24-2 Meade Mustangs squared off against 23-2 Ogden Hills Clippers of Prince George's County, a finalist last season. All night long, the man to watch was Oxon Hill Junior center Michael Sweet. He dominated the inside. He accounted for 12 of the Clippers' first 14 points, but despite his efforts, Eric Brown's three for Meade keeps the Mustangs close. They trailed 18-17 early on. Meade would briefly grab the lead in the second quarter. First, Terrell Ross hits the three. Then he excites the crowd in the half-court offense, taking the feed from Marcus Armstrong in for the jam. But Lamar Butler's three for Oxon Hill gives the Clippers a 31-29 halftime advantage. The seesaw second half saw more of the same from Michael Sweetney. He staked his club to a 7-point lead. But Jeff Charles nails one of his three trays, closing the deficit to 44-40. Meantime, the Clippers started to stutter offensively, here with the cost turnover. This Michael Sweetney putback tied things up at 51, with 6:20 to go in the game, and it would prove to be a turning point. Oxon Hill would go an 11-0 run for the 5 minutes. Here, Sweetney works inside for a three-point play. Then down the lane, it's Antoine Rouse. And Julian Payton takes his turn, courtesy of Jason Jackson. Oxon Hill shoots 51% for the game, while out-rebounding Meade 39-17 and holding the Mustangs to 7 fourth-quarter points. The Clippers will face Lake Clifton in tonight's 4A final at Cole Fieldhouse. They'll tip at 8 o'clock.
What's the difference in your mind in this ball game?
Well, this guy standing beside me. I think Michael was the difference tonight. He played the whole game, played 32 minutes, and rebounded and scored and did the things we thought he can do.
We wanted it more. We played hard. We shot well and defended well, I think. And then we just played hard, really.
He played pretty mature, I thought. We were trying to maybe wear him down a little bit, but he's a player.
In a building which has seen more than its fair share of magical moments, the Meade Mustangs offered up their own brand of March Madness for 3 quarters. Then a more experienced and talented Oxon Hill team took over as the Clippers will play in their second consecutive state final. Reporting from Cole Fieldhouse in College Park, I'm Dave Goldman for the Baltimore Sun High School Sports Show.
Thanks, Dave. As a high school wrestler more than 10 years ago, Scott Delpo's career has been described as average. But there was nothing average about his coaching this year. That's because Delpo led Franklin to the Class 1A, 2A state tournament title. Let's meet Scott Delpo, the Toyota Coach of the Week.
That was our goal to win states this year. We knew we had the talent, so we worked hard and just committed ourselves and kept going. We got second in counties. You know, that was a little bit of letdown, but you know, we didn't give up. The kids just said, "Hey, we can win regions, we can win states," and they did it.
When Scott Delpo arrived as a phys ed teacher at Franklin 3 years ago and took over as the wrestling coach, the words giving up were not a part of his vocabulary. He took a 500 team to a 10-5 record his second year and a 14-2 record this year, which he capped off by winning the state title.
I always said you can win probably a county championship without the rec kids, but to win a state championship, these kids need to start wrestling at a young age. And you know, we have a great rec program, we have a great community. I mean, we all work hard and we won this together. It feels great. The whole Racerstown's all, you know, feeling great about it.
And Scott feels great about the fact that his efforts and those of his team go beyond the wrestling mat.
I like thinking coaching and teaching, it's all, you know, lifetime lessons, teaching these kids about, you know, more than just wrestling, about what it's like to be a person, a man in this world, and take these goals that we teach them into the real world.
Congratulations, Coach. Let's meet some of the area's best student athletes.
Coming up next is the best 5 plays of the week on the Baltimore
Now it's time to honor our Toyota male and female athletes of the week. The female winner is Lauren Martin, a senior guard on the Glen Elk basketball team. Lauren recently set the Howard County career scoring record. And the male winner is Fran Jackson of the North Carroll wrestling team. A sophomore, Fran has already won 2 state titles. We salute Lauren and Fran, the Toyota athletes of the week.
I think any time that you really sit down and focus and put your mind to something, it helps you accomplish it. So basketball is just another indication or way of displaying that. You know, before the game, you take your time, meditate, focus, and if you carry that through in life, then hopefully I'll be successful.
And success seems to be Lauren Martin's middle name. This standout senior guard from Glen Elk led the Gladiators to their first regional title in 7 years, and in doing so shattered the Howard County all-time career points record with 1,731 going into this week's play, a goal she set last season.
At the end of last season, I realized that I was in reach of it, so I kind of tried to set it for myself, but not really use it as, not let it get to my head, not let it influence how I play. So luckily I was fortunate enough to still play well and get it without having it take over my game, basically.
And take over the game is generally what Lauren does.
Many of our fans call her the general. She's out there, she points over here, over there, timeouts, here, look at this. You know, your defense is overplaying you this side, here, go back door. That's all, and she's always focused on what has to be done on the court.
And basketball has helped Lauren focus on her community when she's off the court.
It helped me kind of get to know different people in the community. Over the summer I work at some basketball camps with children. Also over the summer I work in community service programs, and then I have a steady part-time job. So I think that just in general being involved with your community and getting to know a lot of people helps you just in general with your relationships.
Lauren Martin takes what she's learned on the basketball court and gives it back to the community, while Fran Jackson takes what he's learned from the community and his family and brings it to the wrestling mat.
The whole family really is real supportive, and they really don't care if I win or lose. I mean, they're just happy I'm doing something, and they're supportive about it.
And sophomore Fran Jackson is doing more than just something. He's doing what only a handful of wrestlers have done in their careers, taking a shot at winning 4 state titles during his tenure at North Carroll. This week, he won his 2nd consecutive championship despite moving up in weight class.
States, like last year, I was like crying about it because it was the first time I won, and then this year was kind of it was emotional because it was kind of like there was some doubt that I wouldn't do it and couldn't, and then I ended up doing it, so yeah, the emotion was there.
A different type of wrestler at 125 than 103. That's why maybe a lot of people were skeptical about Franny winning it again because it's a big jump. The kids are stronger at 125. They all tend to be stockier, and you know, and strength was one of his best things last year at 103. I mean, he was a lot stronger than a lot of 103-pounders that could throw him around, but he seemed to handle himself well at 125, you know, and got the job done.
And that he did, which is why we congratulate Fran Jackson along with Lauren Martin, our Toyota male and female athletes of the week.
Now it's time for the highlights, including the Best Buy Play of the Week and the Best Buy Best Cheer.
This week, we go to the hole with our highlight reel, beginning with this nice crossover dribble through the paint for a Dominic Fulcher basket. Dervin Diggs says, how about this one with a little contact to boot? Wheaton's Maya Safel shows us another way to the hoop, just straight up and in. Then there's some teamwork involved, if you please. This from Mandy Clark to Quante Tony, back to Clark for the winner. But our prize of the week goes to this effort by Meade's Terrell Ross, who takes control of the rock and brings it down with authority. Definitely worth a second look, and our salute as the Best Buy Outstanding Play of the Week.
This week's Best Buy Best Cheer comes courtesy of Milford Mill High. You are now nominated to be honored as our Best Buy Cheerleaders of the Year. Congratulations, ladies.
Up next, it's the Papa John's featured student athlete on the Baltimore Sun High School Sports Show. Welcome back. Off the court, he's a talented artist and a person who's been described as having presidential qualities. On the court, he's become a pretty good basketball player on the Towson Catholic basketball team. He's Thabo Letsebe, a South African who, in a little over a year since coming to this country, has earned respect for his basketball talents. Let's meet Thabo Letsebe, the Papa John's featured student athlete.
It was scary because I was young and traveling by myself because I came by myself. The trip was long. That took 18 hours all the way from South Africa coming down up here. It was really scary. It wasn't easy because I didn't know if I was going to meet anybody. I was just hoping that it just go okay.
Steadily since January 1998, when he first arrived in the U.S., things have been getting much better than okay for Thabo Letsebe, an 18-year-old Towson Catholic senior from Alexandra, South Africa. A businessman from America saw Thabo playing basketball in his hometown, outside of Johannesburg, and offered to send he and 5 others to a basketball camp in Chicago. Thabo's parents knew it would be the chance of a lifetime for him, so they allowed him to go.
My mom, my father, everybody, they were happy. They just encouraged me. You know, they say they know that I was still young. It's kind of hard for letting me go like on my own, but they know it's for the best of it, and it's for the good, and it's gonna help to build my future.
Businessman Mike Finley, along with associate Horace Holmes, formerly of Baltimore, knew that education was also the key to Thabo's future, which is how he ended up at Towson Catholic, where Holmes' niece attended.
I was just feeling blessed to have someone who can come and take his time and help us, and then all of a sudden decides to help me too, to get to a school with better education.
Towson Catholic was also the place where Thabo would refine his natural abilities on the basketball court, where this season he averaged 13 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 blocks. Still, it took quite a bit of adjusting.
One thing I've learned how to playing hard all times, being able to take hits without crying, that's one thing I've really learned. And being able to concentrate too, and learning how to communicate on the court.
He's brought to our program the other side of what's got to be done to be successful. And, you know, from where he came from, at first kids didn't understand it, but I think now kids, they kind of understand that here's a kid that has nowhere near as much as I've had and I've experienced. Look what he's gone through. And he's come here and he's created a brand new life for himself, and I think that's helped my team grow.
Thabo's philosophy is simple: remain happy at all times. After all, Thabo in South Africa means happy, which is why his mother gave him the name.
She was always telling me that I have to be happy to be a better person in life, for people to be able to live with other people. I gotta be happy. And if things go wrong, instead of giving up or crying, just work hard and try to look for the best, for the best part, where you know that if you're happy you can do this. There's nothing that's impossible to do.
Thanks, Elena. Before we leave today, we'd like to salute 3 soccer players: Jonathan Cole and Alex Yee, both from McDonough, and Kyle Beckerman from Arundel High School. All 3 have been named to the Parade Magazine All-American Boys Soccer Team, and we at the Baltimore Sun High School Sports Show extend our congratulations. I'm Jerry Bembry, sports writer with the Sun. Until next Saturday, have a great school week ahead.